Monday morning. Can you believe it? I can't even believe I'm really, 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 truly awake. But what an honor to be speaking to Natalia da Rocha this morning. I'm still pinching myself, firstly, that you accepted my invitation. I'm very, very, very in awe of the work you've done. And I really appreciate your valuable time on Amplify with Lynette, and that you were so eager and excited to participate in the show this morning. Really appreciate it. And that you let your people know that this is how they can reach you. Good morning, Natalia da Rocha. Thank you for joining me. Welcome.
Well, it's a pleasure. Listen here, I feel honored to be on your, radio station. This for me is fabulous. I haven't spoken to you in ages.
I
You
know,
know,
I know, I know.
how many
But
moons?
I've
And
always
we've
been a,
become an
I've
old
always
lady.
I've become an older lady too. I'm aging as well. I've always been a fan of your work because you have been a trailblazer in the entertainment industry in South Africa when it was when we didn't see um, other South Africans on screen or on television. You were doing your thing at the University of Stellenbosch. Did you always want to be an actress? Did you always want to be in the entertainment industry?
I was raised in a musical family. So music started very early. I think, from 6, 7 years old, I sang. I even had my own concert in the yard with the neighbors' children. And those days it was tiki. The people had to pay a tiki to come and see the show so that we could go and run down the street and play Gaieti Harani. Guy Fox with Guy Fox. So it's been, my dad, he played piano. There was always music in the house. And every time the family gathers, everybody will be singing. Everybody had their own song to sing. My song was Too Young. They try to tell us we're too young. And I mean, what did I know at 9 years old about Too Young? So I mean, in drama was maar in die familie. Oh, there's always a drama, and we were 6 children, everybody vying for the front row, all of them musical. Um, and yeah, my mom was a very quiet person, but she was there. She was a force to be reckoned with. If I needed to get a hiding, I got a hiding. Moenie worry nie. Even in standard 9, I got a hiding. So for me, I was raised in a very tight family. And only recently I looked at my story and I thought, you know what? We never had only the children in the house. We had boarders. There was always teachers from somewhere outside coming to the Strand, got a post in the Strand, and some of them living by the Da Rochas, and that for me, I suddenly realized that my sisters and I, we never had a single bedroom. We had to share with people.
When you decided to go to the University of Stellenbosch, that must
Hmm.
have been a talking point in the family because that was
Okay.
huge. We were in apartheid. There weren't a lot of actresses or actors. We didn't see anybody that we could identify with on stage. But just having to have that discussion in the home, tell me about what that was like and what were some of the talking points?
Okay, so here I have to give credit to Professor Hans Hesse. He's the one. He phoned me. I did matric in 74. I went and rewrote some subjects so that I could go to university. So I've got a matric certificate 74, 75. So I'm straddling 74, 75. So I went and wrote my 2 subjects just to get an entrance into university. During that time, my mom said, "You're not going to stay at home. You're going to go work." So I went and worked, and somehow through a drama competition, I got to be chosen for the traveling tour of the Setwood books for Colored Affairs. So I I toured for a whole year,
Yes.
and
I'm
for the
excited
first
because I
time,
remember that. I remember that
yeah,
from my years at high school, that the set book was formed, and you had the Bra family, and you had all these colored actors and actresses coming
exactly.
to your school.
So what had happened is, just to track back, because there's, everything for me is how it panned out, from which I could not have gone to university if I did not do this, you know.
Yeah,
So I was part of a youth club in Somerset West, and Mr. Margaman was the youth club leader, and he used to give fabulous productions. I mean, I played Mary in a nativity play with scaffolding and donkeys and animals. And I mean, I Mary, the angel appeared to Mary on the scaffolding. I mean, I was scared, because I mean, I had this fear of heights. So there, where my love for theatre came from, is from this man. And I know that these people do not get the credit for what they've
yes.
done. They instilled certain things. They instilled some sort of spark in me. And then we had a friend, he was, at that time, he was Dr. Hans Jesse. So he came to me, and he phoned me, and he said to me, listen here, Stellenbosch is opening up next year. I want you to go there and show them what the colored people look like, because we are not all the same.
Mm,
And that was my duty. I had to go show, even though I know I wanted to be there because of the theater, the production, the performance,
mm,
but it's for them to have a face and see that you can't uh, deny people of color to enter
mm.
into your university. And we were a group of 15 for the first day, 15, and we didn't know what the layout was, at Stellenbosch. And when eventually I had the meeting with the head of the university, and we sat in there, and he said to us, listen here, if you have problems, you must come and tell me and speak to me, open door policy here. So we decided to go to the Nielsie, which is the student center.
Yes.
And yes, sis, toe ons groepie daar inkom, it was like whoosh, and all the white students looked at us. And for me, at that time, it was the weirdest feeling. It's like when you go to a zoo and you don't know these animals, yet
Yeah.
these animals have been around you. They're cleaning your house, they in the streets, even though they do not live in your area. But and it was the weirdest feeling that suddenly I realized, yes, I am here. I now have to account for who I am, not because of my color, but who I am and what I can do. Um, that first day when I arrived at Stellenbosch, there was a little boy that came over to me, and she said to me, "Sê vir my, hoe voel dit om 'n kleerling te wees?" And I looked at him and I thought, okay, you're the only honest one. You came to me and asked me, how does it feel to be colored? Toe sê ek vir hom, dieselfde soos dit voel om 'n boer te wees. And we became friends.
Mm.
And for me it is not knowing about the other, even though you see. And I mean, I know in the colored
Yes.
community there also that kind of thing, you know. If you don't look like me, you're
Yeah.
not,
Light
they're
skin, dark
there.
skin.
Ja, en nie reklike hare nie, en wat nog, we all
Oh,
have these little
yes.
things that the ticks have got to be put next to. So, and Prof. Hans he was the one that said to me, go show them who you are. Go and show
Mm,
them who you are. And forever I will take my hat off to that man, and I enjoyed my time at Stellenbosch. It was lovely. And the other thing that, first year, when you get, every year they have a drama party. So I heard about the drama party. So I went to Johan was one of the lecturers, and I said to Johan, do you think we can have the drama party at my house in the Strand? He said, fabulous. That would be a great idea. Because I had other ideas. Why? Because kom kyk my huis, kom kyk
You
wie ek is. Step
mm,
inside and see who I am.
the
I
world.
am not different. I am who I say I am. And
Mm.
that for me was where everything changed, because they saw my mom. Now I have a mixed family. So my mom's white and my dad is a very dark skinned colored Portuguese man. So here they come into my house and they see this. So they understand who I am, and they had a good time. It was a great party. It was the first time my mom saw guys in caftans. I mean, it was very weird for her because the whole drama party, that kind of thing. But
Very
yes,
dramatic, darling.
very, very dramatic. So, yes, I enjoyed my time at Stellenbosch.
When you look at the industry, what were some of the challenges that you had to overcome? Because I know at the University of Stellenbosch, you had to have a permit. So I would imagine, because this is what my mom related to me, when they were performing, they had to go the achterdeur in, they had to use
Mm,
the back door, and
mm,
they also had to have permits. So tell me about
yeah.
those challenges, because as integrated as it might have seemed at university, that was not the case in society or the areas where you had to perform.
No, okay. So when from a young age, I performed with my dad's band. So we were all coloreds, okay? And we only played in white restaurants. And I think I was 11 or 13 when I started singing in my dad's band. And we would perform for all these white professionals, the doctors and lawyers and stuff like that. And then when we had a break, we had to take our food and sit outside by the kitchen. There was not even a space. The kitchen was like a door in there, but we were sitting on an empty space, a table and chairs just for us to eat there. So it became a way of thinking. I didn't think much at that time because I was not clicked into the whole political sus, because I grew up in the Strand. I only knew my street, Brewery Road. I knew my people. Okay, I went and sang for the white people, but then I came back and went back into where I am. Yet, my family is so mixed because my mom is white and her sisters and brothers are white. There were few of them that used to come to the colored area and visit my mom because my mom was the oldest child. So
Mm.
that for me wasn't a major thing. I knew we had internal problems with this white colored thing, and our family is split. And I never saw my granny. I saw my granny once or twice when she used to call my mom every day, and
Mm.
and she would send money for my mom to bake biscuits, over Christmas time, or do something for Easter or cakes because she doesn't bake. I think I saw it twice when I went with my dad to deliver the cakes. But that was the weirdest thing. And to tell you the truth,
Mm.
I am at the moment busy researching my family history, my heritage, because I look at it and I think my mom never spoke to me because they never spoke. They never told you their story. I understood. This is my father is a dark skinned man and my mom is a white woman. But I never knew how they got together. I never knew that. So, and I never spoke to my mom. And now I think about it, it was never a thing that you would speak to your parents about. How did you meet?
Yes.
Yet now I sit with all those questions and she's no longer there. But yeah, too much happening around, When you're old, you start thinking about a lot of things. Mm,
I'm wondering how, coming from a mixed background, how that impacted your consciousness of the world and the environment that you grew up in, because you say that you did have a lot of contact with your mom's family and that part of your heritage.
Mhm. Yeah, it's you know, in retrospect, we were living with day by day. That was it. Um, I lived in the Strand, Brewery Road. I have now started connecting with my Brewery Road people again because we had a good life. We played in the street, we played in the road. Ons het drie blikkies gespeel en dodgeball gespeel en ken ek en C2C, don't smoke, you know, those kind of things. So for me, I look at all this. I really I want to tell people that I'm not shy about how I was raised. You know, I was raised, if I think my dad was a musician, my mom didn't work. So his work, and he was a building contractor. My pa was a jack of all trades. Se vra vir hom iets en hy sal dit doen. He'll figure it out. You see? But he
Yeah.
was a brilliant musician because he couldn't read one note. He listens to the song and within 2 seconds he plays it. So that for me is my whole life was music. So yeah, heritage. Who are we? Where do we come from?
Did you find that because you had performed in your father's band and performances, because you were able to command the stage as a performer, even though you weren't qualified, even though you weren't discovered in Stellenbosch and
Yeah.
surround?
Yeah. No, it's one of those things that, somewhere in business they say when you enter a space, you have to own it.
Yes.
And I learned that from a very young age. I had to own it. Sometimes I would go home and cry because sometimes you get knocks along the way, but you get up, pull up your granny panties, and you're back in the ring. Listen here. But I never fought. For me, it was I am who I say I am, and not who you think I am. And that is where I needed to make sort of within myself. Now, I mean, my children, they know my story. Everybody knows my story. They're not going to be like me coming at 60, nearly 70. I'll be 70 next year. So
Wow.
what to come and say, why didn't I speak to my mom? Why didn't I speak to my dad? So there's also, for me, the big thing is that we have people that are so negative. If you, I don't know, there's a song. They smile in your face all the time. They want to take your place, the backstabbers. So there's always those people in your path, and you have to navigate it and not fall down
Mm.
to to think that you're doing something wrong. There's nothing wrong with you. I used to do that in the beginning. I thought, why is it so difficult? Why? I used to cry, and I thought, until somebody said to me, Natalia, this was my agent. She said to me, Natalia, what you have a husband and children. Some people don't have it. And you're
Mm.
talented. And you've done certain things that they did not do. So just understand where they come from. Sometimes I can understand and sometimes I can't. Then
I
I take
I hear
myself
you.
away because I don't need that. I don't. I don't.
When did your big break come? Because I read in my research that you said you always had to play either the maid or the love interest of the white guy, because that also very much the context in which we grew up in.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You see, all the productions that I did when I went to Johannesburg. So everything happened in a way. So after varsity, I was doing, what do we call it? Hardwood year. I was going to become a teacher, a drama teacher. Thank God. So my friend Peter Holden, he comes from the Strand as well, and he had graduated before me, and he went and worked in Johannesburg. He called me and he said, listen, what are you doing next year? I said, and I have no idea. He said, don't worry. There's a job for you here in Joburg. They want you to play Joy in Bacchus in Boerland. And yeah, this is the love interest, the colored girl, and the and I flew up, listen, Lynette, I flew up I didn't have a ticket. So now my mom and my dad and everybody's now trying to find money and stuff like that. Because my mom wasn't there anymore. It was my elder sister, because my mom passed away a few months before I graduated in '81. So my dad went looking for a ticket for me via his chommies. Now you remember the coloured government that we had that lived in Belleville. There were those houses, and my dad had quite a few friends in those houses. And he went and said, "My daughter need to go to Johannesburg, but we don't have money and ticket and stuff." So they gave me a ticket with somebody else's name. Those days they didn't ask you for your ID. With somebody else's name on,
I
Mrs.
did.
Something. And I went and I flew to Joburg. And that's how I got to Joburg. I sat down with the man and was it the director, and he said he wants me, and I said okay. So there I was, and I played in Bacchus in Boerland. So you know, those were the kind of things. But you had to. There are certain things that you have to do to get ahead, because I just
Mm.
didn't know what the professional scene is in Johannesburg. And there I met my husband, and my life just panned out. Sam Marie was also in the same production, and then Coffee and Cream happened, and it was like a snowball. And we were lucky. I don't think they've got that kind of those kind of things happening anymore.
Mm. There was a structure, and the network was a small network, but everybody supported each other because they knew how hard it was to break through.
True, true. I mean, I was staying with Peter Holden in Hillbrow. Now that was still the time where colours were not supposedly allowed in Hillbrow. I had to duck and dive the manager of the block of flats, and then I couldn't take it anymore. And then a friend, somebody that Rocco, was at Stellenbosch University with me as well, and then he was working already in Johannesburg. He came and saw me in Coffee and Cream at 58, and he said to me, so I told him about my problem, and I'm going to start looking for another flat. He said, listen, you come live by me. So I went to Auckland Park and lived in the big house that he had, and so there's that kind of part of the story. And then when everything really happened for me, 58 was a major change in my life, because that is where Sam and I really got known. People came and watched Coffee and Cream, and Coffee and Cream became so big. And we went on to Sun City to perform there. So I don't think, for me, I look at what the scene is now, there's not, I don't know, it's not the same. There's too many hungry people out there, and there are too many angry people also out there. And also, if I have a spot, I do not want to give you an opportunity. We're not giving. And I mean, when I came to Cape Town in 2001 to 2002, I looked at the scene. I was a judge on every shopping center talent competition. And Gary van Dijk will tell you that I wept at every competition. I thought, these kids have got the talent.
But there's no
Why is
outlet.
nobody taking? Yeah, there's nobody also training them. There's nobody telling them your shoes. You're wearing the wrong shoes for your outfit. You're not wearing makeup. You're wearing the wrong dress. This is the wrong partner that you're singing with. This is the wrong song that you're singing. So and that's where my training started. I took the top 15 of the shopping mall winners and I brought them to Artscape. I begged and borrowed and steal that whole thing just to. I mean, I went and spoke to Simon Heradin, and I put forward my proposal saying I would like a venue, I would space where I can train some children from the community to get on stage and teach them. I got all my friends together, Sean and Nigel Lucas came, Christopher Kino came, all of them came on board to work with the kids.
Wonderful. And the thing that I've noticed, obviously, growing up myself, I got to know about you and Sam Marie on television because those were the early days as well. And there was no representation. There was just nobody that looked like you that you could identify with and you could feel that dream that it's possible for you to have a life as an actor or a career for in my case as a reporter, as a journalist. I just wanted to draw your attention to to Vanessa Leroux's comment. She says Natalia da
I
Rocha
see.
and moi, two of my favorite people in conversation. These are the stories that I love listening to, the stories that fuels us as activists because we still have to bring to go through the same challenges, and that is the reality that you have a certain set of experiences
Yeah.
that the kids of nowadays won't ever have to go through because you paved the way for them. But that must have been extremely hard.
Mm.
Being you, Vanette, what is Vanette's surname? Abraham
Yeah,
Saking.
Ibrahim. Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
Ibrahim, Denise Newman. A lot
Newman.
of you, your husband. There wasn't a path. You guys had to create your own lanes, and it was difficult.
Yeah, it was. You see, at that time, you didn't think about it. You just wanted to perform. You just wanted to do whatever it is that you love. And when you get on that stage, you show your heart, your soul, everything. It's not fake. It's what I love doing. And I mean, we did silly things because I mean, Sam and I, when we got on stage, there was no during that time. People were just doing ka-chink ka-chink and putting a band together and singing songs and stuff. No, we had a whole performance, you know, um, and we would put music together. Barbara Thompson was brilliant in putting medleys together for us. The Fats Waller medley before we even went and did the Waller show in Durban. So for me, it was it was a vibrant time, and people came there 58 was full every night, and that for me is we do not have those kind of venues yet anymore, no more. I mean, now it's DJs or a band playing, but it's not a performance. For me, getting up and singing a song is not a performance. You need to give that whole effect of people coming out and watching a show. Yeah, can't just turn your back on your audience and chat to your drummer or maybe your guitarist or whatever it is. No respect for the audience. And I come from old school. You won't be allowed to do that anywhere else in the world. But here our people can still chink a chink. Oh, while the audience is coming in and doen hulle nog sound check. You know,
Yes.
you can't do that.
The level of talk to me about that, because the level of professionalism, and talk about support for the industry, because it seems like that there's an audience sometimes, or there's talent, but they just never get and come together. And talk to me about the South African government support for the arts and why it's struggled so much. I mean, this is why I love cabaret. This is why I loved musicals, because that is an opera, because that's what we saw on stage. That's what we saw in theaters. You were
Mm,
able to cultivate, you were able to dream, you were able to measure yourself against what you saw.
mm. So if we look at what's happening in the country, and we are more divided than what we were previously. Okay, so we look at we've got cliques in everything. There's a clique. That group will work with that person, those people, and then not bring anybody down. Yeah, okay, so
It's on
there's not
television too,
an
by the way.
yeah. So it's not an open space where you take
Mm.
the best and you take some of the ones that you want to teach, and the next time they will take over and strengthen. I mean, that was what Applause Arts Initiative was all about. It's training people. We train them to perform. Dis het die regte skoene nie, dis het die regte hare nie, dis het die regte rok nie. Let's teach you makeup. Let's show you what you must wear. I mean, I got, because of Sean Adams and his whole thing, because he was a dancer at Sun City, brilliant dancer and international. So Sean put me in contact with lots of people, and he came and taught makeup. So people could understand, the girls could understand what they must look like when. Isn't it trekkelentjie and lipstick and dan is ons klaar nie. And the hair needs to be, you need to look well, because those people
Mm.
are coming out for an experience. Otherwise, stay at home. Don't get on stage.
Mm.
Don't turn your back onto your audience, because you're going to talking to the piano player now about the next song that you're going to sing. No, this is a performance. Otherwise, I'll stay at home. I don't go. I need to be really pushed to be able to go outside and see people perform. And sometimes, most of the times, they disappoint me, because there's no etiquette. Because that, for me, is what, when you're on that stage, you're there to perform. You've got your audience. Those people paid to be here. So
Mm.
give them a show. Otherwise, come and invite me to your kitchen. Dan sing ons paar songs en ons doen karaoke.
I hear you on that. I'm wondering what led to it, though. Do you think it's because there's this perception that hard work isn't required? You just need your 15 minutes on television, your fame is being chased, that is more important, that people want to be famous, but they don't necessarily want to be able to show a body of work in various genres, your own evolving.
Mm. Okay, so we've got two things. Okay, so what we've got is, we've got your artist, and you've got your, you know what? Training is very important, irrespective which way you look at it. If you do not have the training, you do not know how to handle certain things. And yes, hulle sê mos die colored mense het talent. Okay, they don't have to go to university to learn. So, University of the Hard Knocks, that's taught them. So that's where it is. But still, you need to know that if this is your business, it is business. As it chomi is not friends and whatever it is. This is your business, and you handle it like a business. Because when you step out there, I need to have a look at you and say, I'm paying 300 Rand or 500 Rand to come and watch you. Give me the respect and give me a performance, because that is your bread and butter money. And some of our younger people, they do not have that, because there's been no training. You've got the talent. Talent alone won't put food on your table.
How have you been involved in the industry, but also nurtured your own your own soul in this process? Because I know your children are gifted as well, and you've encouraged that. So tell me a little bit about that, because somehow you need to pay it forward. And I mean, you've made so many sacrifices, but you are investing in the talent of young people around you.
Okay, so for me, when I was in Johannesburg, so I'll take from being in Johannesburg for a long time. I had my children there. I knew I had to do something and I wanted to change lives, and I had to go into the community. So I went into Bosmont and I started my training in Bosmont because children, they didn't know anything about theater. I went there and I said, I got a church hall to work, and it was called Rainbow Works, and all the children came, and I knew that working with those kids will change lives. Theater changes lives. And then, not just that, I put them together and we did Eisteddfod. I trained them to go to an Eisteddfod. So what I did, how do I dress? Because they needed costumes, they needed to look well. So I went to the local Pick and Pay and I said, listen here, these are the children of the parents that come and shop. Would you like to sponsor my project? They sponsored the project. I just went there and and we did a sort of an exchange, a trade exchange. The kids went and performed at the Pick and Pay on Mother's Day and Father's Day and stuff like. So, you know, you have to think out of the box. I didn't have a
Yes.
cent. I used my money. Nobody sponsored me. I used my money every time driving from Joburg to Bosmont, and it's a far way. And all my children went with me. They were all part of the group. So, and it's the weirdest thing because I met two people while I was shooting Skapur. The guy, we were doing one scene, and there's this guy with all these tattoos. Don't think meantime, is the makeup artist putting the tattoos on him. He says to me, Natalia, you don't remember me? I said, no. He said, I was one of the children from Bosmont. And
No.
here he is now in movies and stuff like that. I thought, my God, you know?
Wow.
And Lyle, that's all over the world, uh, dancing and singing with all these famous things. He was also one of my guys. So you never know who
Mm.
you might touch and change their headspace to follow a different path. And that is why I'm sad that we do not have theater in our schools. Drama need
Mm.
to be there. Give those children that do not want to be historians or whatever it is, give them an opportunity to fly.
Mm.
And that for me is what theater does.
If you look back on your life, you said you're going to be 70 next year. When I when I promoted our discussion, our chat this morning, on Instagram, somebody said, "Oh my word! He also grew up with you, watching you on television, like I did, and many South Africans, of the
Mm.
era where you were the only representation on screen. What if you had to look at your highlights and lowlights of your life in the arts, what would you highlight? What would you emphasize? What have you learned and you able to pass on to upcoming artists?
You know, every production that I did, there's something that I make a note of. And I say,
Mm,
you got to warn people about this or tell them this. There's pros and cons for everything. Um, to and I'm opening myself up now for being shot down. Our own people, our colored people. There are very few that are honest and will open themselves up to you
Mm.
or accept you. There's always a negative thing. There's always, if I can trip you on stage to make you fall, I'll do that. And
Mm.
that is a mindset. Not everybody's like that. That is a mindset that that we have. You know, I introduced my daughters to somebody, and I said, "This and this." They're studying drama at UCT. I don't have to study drama because look how famous I am. You you see,
Mm.
I didn't mean to make it sound like drama, whatever it is. You've got talent, yes. You've got to hone it. That's why all those people, if you think of overseas, you know, you have to learn certain skills. And and if you do not have that skills, longevity is not. And if you stop doing whatever it is that you've been doing, then there's nothing else for you to do. What are you going to do next? So for me, you have to look at it as a total package. Today I can sing, tomorrow I can teach, I'm
Mm.
going to sing by the old people, in the houses. I'm going to I'm going to do whatever. I knit, I crochet caps for babies, premature babies, babies that've been thrown away. Do. You're not just one facet. There are so
Yeah, no, we're
many
not one
facets.
dimensional. We're just not one
Yeah.
dimensional beings.
So that is how I keep myself sane. Sometimes I sit back and I think, did I waste my time in this industry? Um, what next? And COVID came, so it wasn't too bad because, not having a job for a long time. So when COVID came, it was like a relief. Now you can really stay at home and not worry about where's the next job coming from. So uh, it is very worrisome because there's also your mental health that you've got to look after.
Mm.
Whether people don't understand that once you've got a job and then you don't have a job, there's some things changing in your headspace.
Mhm.
And who do you speak to? You know, um, it's it's not an easy space to be in. But we have to wake up and pull up your granny panties and say, "Let's fight for another day. Let's fight."
If you if you had to do anything over, if you differently even, Natalia, what would you have done differently from where you're now, almost 70, and starting out in the 70s?
Mm. I would come back as a white person.
You were halfway there.
I'm off. No, no, no. Um, no, that's just very silly of me. Um, what would I do? You know, this path for me was the path that I had to walk. This there was no other way of doing it. You know, if you think about coming from a big family and not becoming a teacher, because drama teaching was supposed to be the thing, not becoming a teacher, having a monthly salary, and then retiring and having a package and stuff like that. I chose what my dad did. My dad was a musician. I went into that direction. Um, Even though I went to university, uh, I was going to become a teacher, but something else happened. An opportunity came for me to be who I am, and I am comfortable with what happened through my life, how it happened, um, and I don't think there's anything that I would do differently.
Mm.
I'm satisfied with the way it panned out.
From of all the songs and performances that you've done over the years, is there one particular song, whether you performed it or not, is there one particular song that describes your journey, your way in life as an artist, something that moves you every time you either hear it or sing it?
Yo, there's a lot. Uh, uh, you know that song, how do you keep the music playing? How do you make it last? How do you keep the sound from fading too fast? That for me is something, because music has been a major part of my life. And you, without music, you know, we've got music in our household every day. There's always something that's playing. and and even to an extent that my granddaughter is also, when she hears music, she dances, because ma dances like this, ma can do this, so yeah, music is a major part of our lives, throughout, for everybody. So yeah, I wouldn't change anything.
What
I'll
would
keep the
you
music playing.
keep the most? I hear you. I hear you. I'm wondering to wrap our conversation, what and how you'd like to be seen as your legacy when you are no longer here.
you know Everybody that I've trained, they always have something to say about the way Natalia says things, because, and whenever they're on stage, they remember Natalia said this and Natalia said that, because Natalia says it straightforward. I don't beat about the bush. Um,
Mm,
and those people who are talented, I will make it my work to
mm,
give them more opportunities to perform, because you cannot stay just small in your little village. You've got to go out. And a lot of the people that have been passed through Applause Arts Initiative, they have gone on to bigger things, and they've seen the world, and they've seen, um, yes, we've got problems. Not everything is bright and beautiful. There are hard times. You will have pain, and you need to know how to rise above it. And so yeah, they know I'm honest. I'm I won't beat about the bush. I won't say you're fabulous. If you're terrible, I will tell you you're terrible, and let's just do it over again until you get it right. Because that's life. That's life. So yeah, yeah. You made me go down a trip down here now.
I well, it was bound to happen. It was bound to happen.
Mm. Ach man, yeah. But there's a lot still to do. There's a lot still to do. You know, um, there's a lot. I always have a project cooking in my head,
Mm,
and it's just to, the whole thing when they talk about, yes, your project can be. It's like with Adam Small. For years, I was wanting to get to Adam Small and take his and get his permission to take his poetry and put it to jazz music, and that's where Adam Smallby Jazz came
mm,
from. And eventually I got to him. And when I met him, oh man, my heart. I'm still very sad that he passed away and stuff. But him and his wife, they're so frail. We met them,
mm,
Kurt and I met them at a restaurant. And he was so excited that his work is going to be put to jazz music. And he came and spoke to the cast. He was on the opening night when we did it. It's like 3 songs in, and then Sipokazi Jonas got up, because I asked Sipokazi to write a tribute, because Sipokazi is a wordsmith, and she wrote this piece.
mm.
And after she finished, Adam got up, because he was sitting in the front row. He got up, got on stage, he said, "Now I can die." And the following year, he was dead. He passed away. I mean, it just blew our mind. But he loved every moment because, for me, his I call it lyrics, but his poetry is so powerful,
Yes, but
and
it's
the
true.
and
It's very
and
true.
and, and it, there's music coming in my head. It need to be put to music so that the young people can understand this, and that's why we had quite a lot of young people that were part of it, and some of them are now international stars also. They're all over. So it was great for me, working and with Adam. Yeah, I just wish that he didn't pass away so soon because he had given me lots of poems. Listen here, unpublished
Mm,
poems. He gave me unpublished poems
mm.
and he said to me, Natalia, do what you want to with this. And he gave me all his books, the stories that he wrote. He even gave us a job at UWC that we had to come and do a show. They gave us the piece out of one of his books that we had to put together, and we took the cast there. So, yeah, good people, Adam,
There's
they
still
don't
work to
come
be
around
done.
very well. Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's still
Definitely.
lots, lots.
I can hear the project. There's more work to be done, Natalia, and we're so grateful for what you have done and that you stood the test of time. And I know that there are many that will never have the opportunity to thank you. But
Mm,
now I want to use this opportunity to tell you that seeing you and Sam as a young child on television, not understanding how hard it must have been, just know that you had inspired not just colored, black, and white kids. You've inspired
mm.
a nation to love the arts, and you've taught us how to dream, and you've shown it's possible. Ja, met stampens to it, but it's possible. So so thank you so much
It's
for
been a
gracing
pleasure.
me and us.
Mm. But
I am
listen
very
here,
honored.
I am in awe of you. You did you fabulous. You do these kind of things, and it is important, that you do what you love. Yes, we can.
Absolutely,
I can do a job and just go work just to earn the money, but your soul dies. And with whatever
absolutely.
we do, and music is the one that keeps my soul going, and training young people and seeing them out in the world that
You see,
they
this is
doing
also an
things for themselves.
opportunity for us to give flowers while our stalwarts, where our artists are still with us and we can
Mm,
learn at their feet. So it's important for me to use this platform not only for these kind of conversations, but the bigger things, that affect our daily lives. And sometimes there aren't enough spaces to talk frankly and openly
mm.
and honestly, and I'd like to be that and create that because now I've got creative control completely. Niemand kan van
Cool.
my kom sê nie.
Danny, that's next boer jou koppie.
Thank you so much, and I appreciate your time. And obviously, a lot of people will view this in years to come. And I really appreciate the fact that you took an hour of your day just to share your life story with us and be an inspiration. When you are no longer here, you will still be inspiring. Thank you, Natalia.
Thank you very much, Lynette. All good, all good. We do what we have to do. We have a purpose, you know, and it's not. That's why we were born in this color.
We do. We love our. I have a saying. I know who I am. I know what I am, and I know how I serve. And if you live in your purpose, it will
Mm,
find you. What you seek will find you. You will be drawn to it. I believe that. But when you try to live someone else's life or you try to emulate someone and
uh-uh.
literally be a copycat of them, it will not work because you meant for your path.
No,
And please God that those who listened
exactly.
and was part of our chat this morning will find their path as well and find inspiration. I know they'll find inspiration from our conversation this morning. Have a stunning day, Natalia.
You too, my darling. Oh, sorry. Ciao.
That's Natalia da Rocha. And if you do happen to listen to the repeat on Amplify with Lynette, please like and subscribe to the channel and share the lives and the notifications. And thank you so much for sitting and chatting with us and following the conversation. Tomorrow, I'll be talking to Johnny Davids. Ons gaan Afrikaans praat. It's one of those mornings where we'll speak only Afrikaans. He's an ex-colleague of mine. Ons het saamgewerk by Radio Sonder Grense. And at 10 o'clock tomorrow, we'll be live streaming the chat with him. I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be kind of weird because I do know him and I've worked with him for a while to talk about his book. The book is Boykie, and I know it is published by Lux Verbi, and I think it's at any great bookstore that you find good books that you can get it there. Thanks for joining us. I hope to see you tomorrow, and thank you so much to everybody that liked the conversation, that hearted the conversation. I appreciate it. And thanks, Vanessa, for your comments. I hope you all be able to join me tomorrow at about 10 o'clock. That's South African time. That's when we plan to chat. And yeah, I mean, I'm inspired by Natalia da Rocha. Can't wait to watch the show on the repeat. And if you do watch the show or the conversations on Amplify with Lynette on repeat, please like and share and spread the word. Spread the word. Each one, teach one. Take care.